Hey guys, and welcome back to Front Boards and Four Baggers. I'm Eddie with Cornhole Bag Reviews, and Corbin is out today. He had to work, so he's actually driving home. So I am all by myself today, but have an awesome guest. I have ACO Pro NOLA sponsored player Justin Duke. Thanks for joining me today, man.
Yes, sir. Anytime. Glad to be a part of it.
So you are an ACO Pro, but technically you're in like the top 110, 105 of ACL. You are still playing ACL regionals, going to opens, getting your ACL points, and I know ACL is kind of on the horizon for you, something that your goal is to do. You are a NOLA sponsored player, so we've talked a little bit about NOLA Bags. Shout out Billy Webb. I've talked to him a bunch about his bags, but we're going to talk a little bit about some of the different NOLA bags. So we'll start with probably the most popular NOLA bag that exists, which is the NOLA Mud Bug. So I got a set of mud bugs here. He likes to call it a 3/8 speed. I find them pretty quick. And maybe they get really dirty and really break down, but I find them like a 5/6 almost on the slow side. They're really hole friendly, but they're kind of quick on me compared to a carpet kind of bag. Bead fill, yeah. $65 plus shipping. So I know you've thrown these a bunch and you have your own bag that we'll get into next, but why do you think the mud bug's like the most popular bag?
I've thrown them a little bit. And like you said, I have my own NOLA bag. So the Mud Bugs is basically a buddy of mine, Cannon Hatchers. I think those are his signature bags is the Mud Bugs, his and Maddie's. And I've thrown them a little when I play with him, but sometimes we'll switch my bags, they're faster. But the Mud Bugs are so popular because I think it's the feel. It just feels comfortable in your hand, yeah. It kind of reminds me of a smaller bag in your hand, but I know it's regular size, right? Mm-hmm. But it's that feel, I guess. And then, people are starting to learn the flop and the Mud Bugs flop a lot. Mm-hmm. So the young kids mm-hmm. are flopping, right? So the Mud Bugs, I would say they're probably the top seller for NOLA right now. And that's how it is.
Hey, you're saying the young kids, but I watch you throw some roll bags. Don't act like you don't throw them every once in a while,
Yeah, I have to last year I went from Viper to NOLA. And I went down to New Orleans at a regional, ACL regional. It was my first one, and I was rolling my Vipers, and that's where I learned to roll my series Vipers really well. And it caught on. Then I switched to carpet, and I only break it out every now and then. So I don't want people to know I could do it a lot. And then because I know I can airmail with with a lot of people. So the rolling part is I don't try to break that out as much as a lot of people do.
Sure.
So,
and I would say, I think the reason a lot of people like the Mud Bugs the most, it's a fairly floppy bag, but it's still pretty full. So it almost if you're a carpet thrower and you like that big puffy hand feel, but you don't necessarily want a kicking machine, you can still manipulate these, but they're fairly friendly. They're very hole friendly, but it still gives you that nice big feel while not being super uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It feels right in your hand,
yeah.
It's got its own feel, but it's a fuller bag. So it's you don't lose your grip with them. So
sure.
And that's why a lot of people are throwing them.
And the fast side on these, this is the same fast side that's used on your bags, the Rougarous and the Gators as well. It's kind of an interesting fast side. One thing that I'll give Billy credit for is I don't think he copies anybody's materials because every single material is some random ass material. But this fast side's almost like cotton. It pulls like a shirt, it's got little cotton beads in it almost. But it plays good. It plays nice and quick, but it's just weird. It's very different than any other fast side I've tried.
Yeah, it's NOLA has he's his own guy. He don't try to copy nobody, and I think that's why a lot of people like him, man. I've never heard anything bad about Billy, and I'm just I'm glad to be a part of NOLA Bags.
Yeah. And so then we'll move on to the Rougarous. So the Rougarous is your bag, your signature bag. I have a custom set myself. Super awesome. Interesting material in this bag. I call this, again, very similar. I would say the Mud Bugs, Gators, and Rougarous are all very similar on speeds. It's more what material do you like the feel of the most, the hand feel kind of thing. So I'd say, again, a 3/4/8 kind of speed. But this slow side is I don't know if it'll pick up on camera, but it's textured. You can see it on camera. It's got these big bumps almost. It's similar to a 9mm from Kill Shots, almost really rigid. I mean, they play great. Again, you can manipulate them and whatnot, but I know you definitely have to try them out to see if you like them or not, because not everyone's going to like the feel of this material.
Yeah, so I went to Billy and I said, hey, he had the carpet. So, like I said, I went from series Vipers to carpet bag. So that's like totally different, right?
Polar opposites, yeah.
Yeah, and I never won a major with a series Viper. And, I've won a major this year, almost one of the biggest ones that there was in Tupelo, Mississippi. It was like 400 something people, I think. But no, the Rougarou is it's different, man. It's I call it it feels like a snake. Like if you're rubbing a snake.
Sure.
I mean,
scaly, yeah.
It's like the scales of a snake, and sometimes because I grip my bag so different with the butterfly grip, but I put like I was telling you, I put my opposite ring finger up on the bag, and it rubs my finger kind of raw, but it's just different.
Yeah, you get a solid grip
different.
to it.
Yeah, it's different. It's a different texture in it. If you don't try them, you're not gonna like them. It's one of those bags. If you don't learn how to row, or when I first got them, my airmails was bouncing out of the hose, and it was I was disappointed, but then I broke them in. I kept throwing them, and I was just going to take my losses with them, or whatever happens. And I got them broke in to where they're probably the most hole friendliest bag that I own.
Yeah,
and I'm very pleased with them. And shout out to Billy for making them for me. And I want to say they're right there behind the Mud Bugs on selling right now. I mean, that's what I would call his second most selling bag is the Rougarous.
Yeah, and I would say, very similar to any carpet bag. You can't really judge a carpet bag until you've put 100 hours into the carpet bag. If anyone's throwing a brand new Viking, or even when people say the Viking's broke in, and then you throw a pros Viking that's been nuked for 3 months, you're like, oh wow, that's a completely different bag. It's not even close to the same. And I felt your Rougarous, because I have these ones obviously, and I've put a little bit of work in them, but once you get this material to really break down more, and it's a little less rigid, and starts to slow down, some dirt will get caught up in there, and really, because I watched some of your gameplay that you're live streaming, your bags will stop, these will slide pretty well for me, and carpet does that. You got to get it to the point that it's sticky a little bit, and and
you got to learn the carpet, it kicks, right? So if you don't have a flat bag, but I have one, me personally, I have a flat bag in my own opinion. And I'm learning to block with them on purpose, and it's worked in my favor so far. And then I'm learning my cut shots with them, and a carpet bag is going to kick, of course, and I'm learning my kick and where it starts to kick from the board. So again, just like you said, a new BG Viking or something, it's going to kick if you don't know how to throw it.
Yeah, and kicking, it's hard for me to use the word kick with Viking, because in my opinion, that's the whole point. Kicking, but that's also manipulability. If you're perfectly flat and you put an angle on a carpet bag and it snaps left, that's what you were trying to do. That's the whole goal.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
So, but I would say, we were talking about this a little bit before we started. The reason that you've maybe had more success, or the reason I just had success last weekend, is if you have a good airmill and you could just throw blocks and start airmilling, it's a lot easier to beat players that would just want to go hole for hole all day,
Yeah, that's why Matt Guy wins.
Yeah. And he's next level good, but especially in your, lower advanced, high competitive, mid advanced area, if you make all their shots harder, because once you're in advanced, everyone can slide 4 in the hole every single time.
Exactly.
Close to every single time. They can do that. But how many players have the right to left cuts, the consistent airmails, the push throughs every single bag, the all these difficult shots? That's kind of where you're forcing them to prove it every single round, that kind of thing. But now we get into kind of his new bag. So it just came out recently with the new stamping called the Swamp Waters. I've seen you throw a little bit with them in the live streams, and you seem to really enjoy them. Even brand new, you were throwing them super, super well, not even broken in. So
so
talk about them.
Yeah, these are it. The Swamp Waters. These are the newest bag out for NOLA, and they're pretty sick design on them. And I would say the slow side is probably like when I was throwing them brand new, I'd say like a 5 maybe.
Yeah, I think that's
and
what
then the fast side is like an 8 to 9. So like it's a good push through bag. These are broken in now. But the weather here has not gave me a chance to throw again since the day I did a deck around. I threw an 89 with them, but like again, that was brand new. I was trying to push shots. I was trying the airmail drags and stuff like that. So an 89 with brand new bags. I mean, yeah, I've thrown 100 and something before, but that's with broken in bags and just going hoe for hoe. So I was very pleased with them. I think my next, I want to say my next regional, ACL regional, I'm going to throw them and, we'll see what we can do with those.
Yeah, and I would say for NOLA, this is their newest pro stamp bag, and I would say the only pro stamp bag they have in the lineup that isn't a carpet bag. So I think they're trying to branch out a little bit into someone that maybe is used to the Surefire, the Deadhead, the somewhere in that middling speed. But again, these materials aren't your Surefire materials, not your Deadhead materials. They just play very similarly. He's taking kind of his own little twist and finding the materials that he likes with it. But from what you've been saying, they feel pretty nice and they throw pretty nice in hand. And he likes to call it a grain fill, like a little bit of a different fill than what he's using in his carpet bags.
Yeah, so I got that confused the other day when I was trying to explain like on my live feed, and he says it's more fuller than my Rougarou, and that's just that was crazy to me because like I was like the Rougarou is the most full bag I've ever felt in my life. So, and when he said these are more full, I was like, like I was confused, but after you like get them broke down and ready to throw, like, tournament ready, I could feel it now. And then in my Rougarou. So I mean, he makes the bags, right? So he knows. I just throw them.
Well, and it all depends on the fill. I mean, if it is that fine, and for everyone listening, like I haven't got my hands on a set yet, so I don't have I haven't felt them or got my opinion. But when I think fine grain fill, I think zero gravity Neptune. I think like that small sand fill that kind of the perk of it is when you get that handhold, it really makes it like you could shake it out and it makes like a solid brick in your hand. Like it's really not super beady. Like it kind of grips together nicely, which, we haven't really seen in that middling speed Surefire realm is kind of that sand fill. So, I mean, it could, depending on how it feels and how it plays, that could be a differentiating factor and make it stand out in its own light in terms of hole friendliness and whatnot.
Yeah. So, but like, I don't know how people do it, like
4 fingers.
4 fingers? Okay.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
I mean, you can see it. I mean, it's
not
it's
too
not
bad.
Like,
it is a little fuller. Yeah,
it's fuller. That's what I'm saying. Like, so like, I don't know. We're gonna like when I was doing the deck round though, like it would like if I threw it to the side, it would still catch the hoe and like spin around.
Sure.
Like a what are those bags? The cats.
Oh, sure.
Like I've thrown cats before. Yeah. And like they'll wrap around the hoe and like go in through the back or something. So like it kind of reminded me of that when I was throwing them.
Nice.
So
yeah, no, I'm stoked. I mean, a lot of people have said good things that have gotten them, so definitely check out those. There's new bags, $70 plus shipping on the website. And again, everything's always in stock. And Billy's a really, really cool guy. So I know I met all you guys up at Triple Crown. We had a lot of fun time playing and Billy, and that's kind of where this came from and whatnot, but I know Billy's another really great guy in the cornhole world. So we'll go a little bit into you as a cornhole player. So we'll talk a little bit about the backstory. So we'll start with, how did you get into cornhole? How long has it been and where'd you kind of start?
So I started, let's see, this will be my second year playing, like, I'd say like a year and a half competitively, but like 2 years altogether. Like I started in a church league. And, man, I used to wad my bag up like this and throw it. Yeah. Like, cause I played a lot of like travel softball, men's softball. And, just one of my buddies, my old partner was like, man, you want to try cornhole? And I was like, yeah, I'll try it. Well, we ended up winning a cornhole like league at a church that my buddy Justin Craven that he ran. He's an ACL director now. But we end up winning that tournament with some game changers.
Of course.
So
everyone starts with like, goddamn game changers, dude. Like that was my first bags too. It's like,
and I think at the time though, we was throwing like I want to say we was throwing like some sandbags.
Sure.
Like you would throw them and
Yeah.
like they would pop out sand. So my buddy was like, I was like, hey, can we use these? And then like all of a sudden my bag was starting to get like twisted. And I was like, I think I could be pretty good at this. So after that, he was like, you want to travel and play? And I was like, yeah, I'll try it. So one thing led to another. My buddy Brandon Sparks, my old partner, he was like, let's travel and play. So, we started traveling and he's like, you going to give up softball for this? And I was like, yeah, but then I started getting my hand on some money, like, during some tournaments. And I was like, man, I think I'm going to give up softball. And he's like, no way. And one thing led to another. I went to Worlds, ACO Worlds, and I did really well. And, man, one thing led to another. And, like, stuff started falling into place. And I gave up softball. I haven't stepped on a field in a long time. And I'm not looking back. Like, like
crazy, man. I mean, I talk to people all the time that like, cause I'm a big bowler and I played softball for years and much other stuff. There's not many hobbies I'm a golfer too. Like, there's not many hobbies as an adult that you can go out on a Wednesday night and then leave with more money than when you went to it after paying the bar tab. It's like, so like,
yeah. So, I mean, it's, like my first year when I started traveling, I'd go to blind draw every night. Like every single night here in Memphis. And man, I'd come home like in a week. I think I made like $500 something in a week and just blind draws. And I was like, what? Why am I working? Like if I could do this every time. So I eventually quit working, to say the least. And I made a career out of it last year. And I was winning all the time, like regionals. And I never won a major, but I got pretty close. And I have a great support system with my wife, and she travels wherever I go, like I said. And, it's when you have a good support system, like I drove Lyft. I don't know if you know what that is. So I drove Lyft here in Memphis, and it paid really well. And then I got I was my own boss. So I stopped any time I wanted. And one thing led to another, man. And I just drove Lyft and played blind draws through the week.
Nice. So that's awesome. I mean, that's the goal, man. I none of us. I don't want to sit in an office no more. So I'm trying to. That's why I'm doing the podcast. But
yeah. So I mean, I have a full-time job now, but they work with me like when I need to travel. So I mean, I work for the city, and they're very lenient with me.
Nice.
So there's no reason not to work and make that hourly rate that I make, and then I get to still get off at 4:00 in the afternoon and do whatever I have to do that night. And,
nice.
So
that's awesome. So when did you know you kind of wanted to try to go pro? I mean, was it just like natural progression? Like, hey, I'm getting kind of good at this. I'm doing good at regionals. Like, do I want to take it as far as I can? Or when were you kind of like, oh crap, like I could actually like do this?
Yeah. So like I said a while ago, like I went to Worlds my first year, and I finished like 17th overall. And all you had to do in ACO was win 2 games out of pool play at Worlds to become a pro. It's like the top regular season is top 80 to make pro if you make it with points and stuff. But like if you don't do that, like I finished like 330th or something like that. And I went into Worlds with my mindset like all I have to do is win 2 games, right? Well, I ended up beating like a lot of people, and then I ended up losing like Austin Cameron.
Yep.
He's a huge name in the ACL or just cornhole. Anyways, and then I moved down in the losers bracket. I've already won 2 games in the winners bracket, so I've already set my own goal. But I also had another goal going into Worlds, who I wanted to play and who I wanted to beat. And it's a really good buddy of mine. He's my partner a lot. And I got the chance to play him in the losers bracket. And I came out on top like 21 to like 11. So I set another goal of mine as beating Josh Glover. And, one thing led to another. I lost the next game to Jamie Fincham. But I set my goal. Like I wanted to be a pro. I knew I could. My bag was just, great at that time. And one thing led to another, and I became a pro, and I've been a pro ever since in ACO for 2 years now.
So what's the biggest difference? So going to, an ACL Open, ACL Regionals, qualifying for these, whatever it is, what do you think is the biggest difference between competing in the ACO and competing in the ACL, whether it's the type of event or just the competition in general?
So, all right. So like ACO has your good players, right? Like Austin Cameron, Caleb Hurd, there's a bunch that I'm not going to, say or get into, but, those are two of the big names over here. ACL, you cannot go to an open and just say, hey, I'm going to beat that guy right there. Like, you don't know who you're playing over there unless it's a big name. There's so many good players in the ACL. And ACO too, I'm not comparing whatever. I'm not going to do that. But ACL, you just cannot walk up and say, I have this game in the bag.
Sure.
In the ACL, there's certain people that are like scared. Like if they're just now starting, they're like scared to play the big names, Sure. I know you have that in ACL too, but man, there's so many people in ACL, like you don't know everybody.
Yeah, and I think in the ACO, like that is very true. Like the actual group that travels to the events is kind of a smaller knit fan. Like you know most of the people that show up to an ACO major, where like you walk up to the boards and be like, all right, I kind of know what bags he's probably going to be throwing, like what type of game style he is, and then you can like mentally prepare, like, all right, I got to play this way, I got to in order to beat them. In ACL, it's like you go into rounders and you're like, oh, I've never heard of these two guys, and they both shoot a 10 PPR and kill you, and you're like, who the hell are these guys?
Yeah, it's like it's crazy, man, and I in Kansas City, I played to get to the winner's final, I played Carson Bennett. Do you know him? Mm-hmm. He's a Big Daddy guy. And I was up 19-11, and I threw like I want to say a 9.9 PPR or close to like right at a 10. And I end up losing 21-19. And we both throw like 128 bags a piece. And I'm like, it's my fault that I lost, but how can you be mad when you throw a 10 PPR and you lose? Like, I understand, but it is what it is. And that's what I'm saying. Like if I throw a 10 in ACO, it's going to win a lot of games.
Yeah, you're probably going to win most games. Yeah. I mean, we had one. I was doing commentary at this last Open, and there was a game, Mark Richards versus Ryan Windsor, and I think me and Wally were having to kill time because they both made like 40 bags in a row or something. Like we were just like, oh, okay, 20 minutes later, it's still 10-10.
I've had a chance to play both of those guys, and I love both of them to death. I talk to them outside of Cornhole, and it's just they're great guys and obviously great players.
Yeah. So then, being a pro, like how much do you think you're traveling? Are you like, is it a couple times a month? Like, I mean, how often right now are you traveling around to play?
So right now this coming week will be my 2 weeks that I'm taking off. I'm not throwing, like I threw the other day to break in the swamp waters or give a review on them. But I'm not trying to play at all this 2 weeks. I'm trying to spend time with my family, get my head right for the upcoming events. And, cornhole's mental. You gotta take breaks. I know people that play all the time, but me personally, I haven't played as near as much as I want to this year with a new job. We're planning vacations and stuff like that. And I'm spending time with my kids, and it's just, family stuff that's come up, and, it's just stuff you got to take care of. And, I've been to like 3 majors in the ACO. I've won 2 of them, and I'm going to go to Vegas the 22nd. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the one coming up, and that's going to be my 4th major. If I do good there, it knocked me out of the top 40 by not playing so much right now in the ACO, but I'm not worried because like when I go to my 4th major, I've already had 3 good majors.
Yeah.
So like in the ACO, you have to have like a certain amount of points or whatever to make top 40. And that's where you don't have to pay for nothing at Worlds.
Yeah. And isn't it
So
also like in ACO, it's kind of like you only get a set number of regionals, a set number of majors for like your placings or whatever. So like if you win 4 of something, you're like, well, it's not even, I don't even need to play anymore because that's my best 4 kind of thing, you know?
yeah, so ACO is like you go to 4 majors, you do your top finishes, and then you can go as many regionals as you want, but they only take your best 8 this year. So I've only been to like 9 regionals and like 3 majors. So I think I've done more ACL this year than I have ACO.
Okay.
But like when I go to Vegas next week or 2 weeks, if I do good in a major, that will be my last major for the year, and then I'll show up to Worlds and try to be king of cornhole. But after I do my 4th one and I make top 40, there's just really no like that's your goal for the year.
Sure.
I mean, you want to be player of the year, right? But if you can't travel as much as these guys trying to top out as much, there's really no point of trying because they're already there.
Well, and it's also when we go into, I mean, if you're trying to qualify for ACL, I mean, those are 2 different point systems with different events. So, I mean, you can't burn yourself out and playing like 100 of each, trying to max both point statuses. So,
and here in Memphis, it's more ACO than ACL. So, like my closest stuff, ACL, we'll have one here every other month or something. But my closest thing is Jeff Richburg's down in Mississippi. That's like 3.5 hours away, just a regional.
Sure.
And like the opens are,
yeah, few and far between all over the place.
Yeah. So, but I've been to 2 opens, and I have a 3rd in my bracket, and then I have a 5th in my bracket. So I've got a lot of points in my open, and I'm pretty satisfied, and I've got a great conference. Sure. I think I got 4th in my bracket out of, I think I got 8th overall. So, and I play in one of the toughest conference there is.
Sure.
That I think is the Mid-South Conference. You got your guys, you got
you
got Damon Dennis and all of them. So, like, it's not easy competing against those guys. So
yeah, but that's what makes you better though, because if you're used to competing with them all the time, you go to an open or a national, and you're like, well, I'm already used to playing all the top guys anyway. So what else can I prepare for?
And I think right now, like ACL, I've been to 2 opens, regionals, conference. I think I'm sitting at 106 overall, and I mean that's a big jump in ACL for me because this is my first year trying to become pro over there, and I still have another conference to go to, a state tournament to go to, and I still got some local points to get. So I'm not too worried, like trying to make it in points. But I'm going to try my hardest to do it with points instead of trying to go through the gauntlet at Worlds.
So then, I mean, I guess we'll divert a little bit and go to qualifying for the ACL for anyone who's like out there trying to qualify or XYZ. How does the point system work? Like, where do you have to end up? And then is it an application based on your points, or how does that system kind of work? And then obviously you talked about the gauntlet. We'll get into that, but how does the point part work for ACL Pro qualification? ACL, yeah.
Okay, so I think if I've gotten told like they take the top 50, if I'm not mistaken, and if there's pros already in there that qualify, they'll take those out and then go down the list, like 51, and so on.
Okay.
So I got told you want to finish around like the 100 mark, 150. I'm not saying that's right, so sure. Don't take me for granted on that, but
so it's the top 50 non-pro in the standings based on points or something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. It might be 40. I'm not quite sure on the points because I haven't really got into detail about that. Billy will tell me a little bit, and then I'll ask a couple of buddies that are already pros.
Sure.
But then like if you don't make it there, you could put in a resume, I believe. And they'll take certain mounts. I think it's 6, and and then they got that pro development stuff.
Yeah, the PDC. Know.
Yeah. So,
and then what's the gauntlet at Worlds?
So gauntlet it's called the qualifier really, but I call it the gauntlet because hell, you don't know who you're going to play. So, the gauntlet is I think you have to go 6-0, 5-1. And some maybe 4-2s that make it. but you have to like score a lot of points to go 4-2 and not give up a lot,
Sure.
But like if you go 6-0 and 5-1, you're pretty much in as a pro. And it's gonna be hard. Like I know a lot of people that are coming over from the other division, and people that's not gonna make pro with points. They're gonna be down there playing. So it's not gonna be easy, man. It's definitely gonna be a difficult task to.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and where the game's at right now, I mean, like, I think I was talking to, man, I forget who I was talking to, but they were telling me that 15,000 new people are coming to Cornhole, like finding Cornhole per month. Like in terms of like, going from backyard to trying a blind draw or trying, it's 15,000 new people a month, right? Where it's like the game's just exploding at this massive scale. And this is just the beginning. It's going to keep exploding when ESPN, the more ESPN coverage and all that kind of stuff. But you're starting to see these, I mean, even young kids, 12 to 14, that'll just kill you because all they do is sit outside and throw all day, and they're just that good.
I'd rather play a kid than I like. Than like a really, good, like pro, what I mean? Like kids have no nerves. So like if they beat you, they beat you. Yeah. But it's like, if they lose, they don't really care. So like it's just, I'd rather play like, the guys or, Jamie Graham or Trey Birchfield. I mean, I'd rather play those guys than walk up to a board and I'm like, I don't know your name, but you're a 12-year-old, you're a 14-year-old.
Yeah. But the problem is they don't have any nerves. They're just like, whatever.
Yeah, like they're going to beat you. Like, just get ready for it. So
that's like Alex Hicks. I mean, like he gets done with his winners finals game. He goes to play Fortnite on the computer because he's just like, I don't know, whatever. He's
either going to play Fortnite or he's going to beat you in a cash game. He's going to go find a cash game at 12 years old.
His dad's walking around with the wallet like, all right, where's he going with his
to put money in it because he's not going to lose any. So.
Yeah, right? It's just crazy how consistently good that kid is. But
oh, man, it's unreal. And the kid's like, he's humble about it, too. Like, you don't hear him. He don't show no emotion. Like,
no, at all. And he doesn't even look like, I mean, like, I would say in the guy game, like the really long guy game, you could tell towards the end that he started to realize the gravity of like the game because it was like this long drawn out thing. But it seems like every game he plays, he's just kind of like,
yeah, who cares? Like I'm gonna win or I'm gonna lose. I don't care. So
he's like, I don't know, I'm just gonna hit like 60 rolls in a row. like whatever. It's an easy game.
It's a great kid. He's a great kid though, man. Yeah. Like even off the boards, like he'll talk to you or if you got a question, he'll answer it, and it's just. He's just a kid.
A good thing to say. I mean, even and for that age, for that many people to like, I mean, asking for autographs or something. I mean, like, dude, I can't imagine like being that young and like having to be kind of like an adult early. I mean, like show yourself mature at that age.
Because everybody's watching.
Yeah,
all eyes are on him right now, and him and Mark Richards, man, and of course Matt Guy, but Mark Richards is almost there. Like he's there. Yeah, he's a rookie, man, and. I'd put him in top 3 right now overall.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I just commentated his singles. I mean, he was there in singles and doubles, but in singles and doubles. But I would say the thing that you notice is like he's getting now that look on his face where he's like, I've been here before. So he's not nervous anymore. Because even in doubles, you could tell Philip Lopez maybe hasn't been in those situations as much because you could see the nerves a little bit more on him when he was shooting against Jimmy. But like Mark, every round is just like,
yeah,
just make them all.
Yeah,
it's just like
I've had a chance to play Philip and Mark at the same time in doubles, and I played them both in singles, and let's just say I've not beat either one of them yet.
Right, they're very good.
Yeah. They are, and I give those guys much respect, man. I love them.
They're both super nice guys too.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's the best part is when you can be that good but still be like fun to hang around with.
That's right.
So what do you think's the hardest part about being a pro? Is it consistency? Is it travel? Is it the mental game? Like, what do you think's the hardest part about consistently being top?
It's definitely consistency. Like for like me, like if I don't hit a shot that I expect to hit 8 out of 10 times, I get a little frustrated, and I'm working on that. But that's the 2 weeks I'm taking off. Like I'm preparing, like I'll prepare for the worst, and like I'll prepare for like I'll go outside and miss a shot, that I usually hit, and I'm trying to like not show no emotion. So like I'm working on that at home, and the second part is, man, it's the traveling. Like it tires you out, and I think that's why like I've taken a break, and this year, like overall, like that's why I haven't traveled as much as I want to. It's just mentally, and then it can take a toll you at home too. Like you're never at home, or you're not spending enough time with your family and stuff like that. You got to keep that in mind. Like it's just a game,
Yeah,
and it's always going to be here. So like if you take a year off, it's going to be there the next year you come or get ready to play again, right? So for me, I'm a family man, and if you don't have family, you don't have nobody at all.
yeah.
And like I've said before, like if it wasn't for my wife and the support system that I have through her, I wouldn't get to do what I do.
Yeah.
And that's just how I feel, man.
No, that's awesome, and I like that too, because it's like with a lot of people think like, oh, like to get good, obviously practicing helps in practice, but I feel like once you're good or at a topper tier, like I feel like a lot of that is the mental toughness, right? Like you're getting used to the mental reps of like competing against top players and like knowing you can do the shots. I feel like if you took a year off, like even if it took you a little bit to get maybe your rhythm back, it's like you don't lose that mental toughness, right? Where it's like you can come back and be like, I know I can do it. I just have to put in a couple, time.
Yeah, so it's more like riding a bike. And I use that example because you're never going to not learn how to ride a bike. So you can get on a bike, now, and I haven't rode a bike in, heck, I'd probably say 10 years, probably. I mean, you're not going to stop knowing how to ride a bike, right? So you're not going to stop knowing how to throw a bag underhand. You might not have, like you said, your rhythm, but it's always going to come back to you.
Yeah.
That's just like, I went and played my alumni basketball game Sunday, and I haven't played basketball in 3 years. I played college basketball, and I played college sports all through, basketball all through high school and college. I hadn't played in like 2 or 3 years, and I went, and I still showed out. Like,
oh, yeah, your shot's still there, like
my shot. I didn't hit any the first quarter, but I still finished with like 30-something points. And like, it's just, it's like riding a bike, man. You're not going to learn. You're not going to stop knowing how to shoot a basketball or, throw a bag or, ride a bike, like I'm saying. And it just all comes back to you. It's all mental.
Yeah.
And if you don't think you can do it, like there's a saying in my house, can't ever do nothing, right? So if you say you can't do this, your mindset's already gone. Like,
sure. No, I like that. And so moving on a little bit back to like playing. So I won't necessarily say specific pros, but is there a type of player, like strategies, pacing, type of bag that you play poorly and well against? Like, is there a specific player that you walk to the boards, you're like, oh, I gotta wait for this guy to take 12 seconds in between every shot, or like that's what screws with me? Or is it like, is there like a type of player that you just struggle to play against?
I've played him in doubles and I've beat him in doubles, but it's something in singles, man. And I'm a singles player. I think everybody knows that. It's Frank Moglen, and it's
kill you with kindness.
And it's nothing against the guy. I love the guy, but I think for me, it's the step through, right, that he has. It's not as bad as some other people that I've seen, but I'm not used to it because you couldn't do it in ACO. Yeah. So like it's taken me some time to get like used to seeing people like throw the bag and then cross the line, and he does it so well, and you can't get mad at him because he's so nice, but it's not against the rules either, right? So it's taken me some time, and I think I'll get there with, people crossing the line and stuff like that. But Frank Moglen's probably like, he's on my agenda to beat him, but yeah, he's probably my number one. Like I can't throw against him, man.
Yeah, and I would say, so I step over the line a little bit, like, on hard pushes. I actually had a conversation, it was big on Facebook, like, 2 weeks ago or something after that.
Yeah.
It just blew up, right? And my opinion on it is I think making it illegal, like in ACO, is more worse than it is better in terms of, like, but with restrictions in terms
Yeah.
of like when you go for a really hard push, it's really hard to not step over the line. Like all your momentum's going forward, right? So like I found myself, I played in an ACO major. I was going like this like half the time because I'm not used to it, right? So I feel like for my opinion, it's okay within reason to go a little past. And Frank, as a good example, he gets back really quickly. Like he's not standing out there doing stuff, right? So I think there deserves to be some kind of either time-based or just respect-based where like you shouldn't be taking 3 steps and going somewhere else. I mean, like, dude, it's not like you're throwing something as hard as you can and you need to fly forward. I mean,
it's not like target practice where you're throwing like a football into a hole and you're trying to get your follow through.
Well, it's also not you weren't like full sprinting to the line and now you have to slow yourself down with 4 steps. It's like, okay, man, you're a bit exaggerated, but I can understand why it would, for me, like this weekend, it's when the people have the bags on the front of the board and they reach down to pick it up when it's like when I'm in like my backswing throwing, right? So like I played against a dude that I like, then right when we were doing down and backs, I was like, okay, in singles, I was like, I actively have to wait for you to pick your bag up and hold it before I even get in my motion, because every time I would throw, I'm like, I see your dang shoulder coming down in my zone, bro.
I have not played nobody that does that yet.
Oh,
and
man.
That's weird to me because, Brett Guy does that, or he used to. And I think Matt keeps his at the front of the board. No, he holds his bags.
No, he puts his on the back because Matt steps.
That's right. Yeah. So I haven't ran across anybody that picks up the bag, but like I said, it's the step through for me right now, and I'll work on that, and I'll get it taken care of. You need your
wife to come outside and just step through constantly while you're warming up.
Just keep walking. But no, that's it for me. And player wise, I mean, it's Frank, but do
you got anybody's number?
Like beating wise, like ACL or ACO?
Anybody? Do you want to put anybody on blast so you got their number?
No. I keep that to myself. Because anybody in this game, man, anybody can be beat.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And I have beat some big names. And
I mean, it all comes down to who's hot that day, man. I mean, again, it's a simple game that just is like I tell people all the time, in my opinion, Cornhole is the game of missed opportunities more than it is the game of mistakes, right? Where like if you ever film your gameplay and go back and watch it afterwards, or when you go live stream, if you ever go back and watch it, like you think like, oh, like you look at the scoreboard where it has the little graph and you're like, okay, 10-10 wash, 9-9 wash, 8-8 wash, like all these washes. But when you watch it back, you're like, oh, I missed a bag off the back. Like there's 3, there's 2. I missed my last bag. There's 2. No one likes to think about like, they like to think, oh, I gave up a 5. It's like, but you missed 4 2s before that. So like you would have been up like 8-5,
I always look at like for stupid shots, like, if there's a bag hanging in the hole, I'm probably going to shoot it and try to drag
Me too.
it. So it's like chances like that. And when I could have slid in and got 1,
right.
And then I miss it and then I lose by 1, sure. I'm like, all right, let me work on that too. But it depends on who I play. Yeah. If I take shots like that, like if I be stupid or, if I'll take my 1 or, stuff like that. But there's those games where you have like,
you got some room to give maybe. And
like you'll play like a beginner that wants to try to compete up there with like all of us pros and stuff. But like, deep down, like you're down and back and stuff that he's trying really hard, but you're like goofing off.
Sure.
And then like, your first down, like your first round and second round, you're going in the hole a lot, but he's like, you could tell he's nervous and like going off the board or on an open board, he's doing something crazy. So you could tell like your first round or 2 what you could do and what you can't do.
In my opinion, I like the airmail drag to stymie momentum is a lot of the time if I go for it. Like if I have a dude that's just banging bag after bag and he has all this momentum and then you hit an airmail drag to either wash or maybe get a point back or something, I feel like it could really like it's like one of those big shots that you're like, whoof, like switch the momentum like immediately, like.
Well, it's like when I put up my blocker and then I go airmail, and then he goes like airmail. And I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking like, do I push my bag in or do I go airmail again and just leave it? And like confuse him. Like, why didn't I try to push my bag in? Cause usually when that happens, because I've had that certain situation happen, and then like I'll miss my push, but I'll push my bag in, but I'll go off the back and I'll give up three. Yeah. So it's like,
well, and it's so weird between like high competitive and like advanced and then pro, right? Because like I would say in everywhere that isn't pro, if you lay a block, the first response should always be block behind, right?
Yeah.
Until you get to a level where your airmail is so good that you're like, I'm just going to make them all, right?
Yeah.
Where you're like, block, okay, I'll just airmail. But like in competitive or advanced even, it's like, oh, block, well, I need a block behind because the push through is easier than an airmail for most of these players, right? So in that scenario, you don't have this fourth bag push chance because there's always gummed up boards, right? So
yeah,
but I mean, I guess when you get to the level, you're like, I'm just gonna airmail constantly, like Matt Guy, like, oh, it's halfway in the hole, I don't want to push that, I'll just airmail.
Just try to airmail and like let him push it.
Yeah.
So, but no, that's just how I see things sometimes.
So we'll go into a little bit about your throwing style. So I obviously with your background in a church league, you're crumpling it like a ball and just flipping it. How the heck do you get into butterfly? Because in my opinion, butterfly is like the most like not normal way to hold a bag. Like it's not natural, like, you know, grabbing a bag would be. So how do you get into butterfly? Do you have somebody show it to you and it just works?
Man, I really like, so me personally, like I'll flop my bag like this, like while I'm waiting on somebody to like throw.
Yep.
And I'm thinking about what I need to do. But mine, I like push the beads all the way down at the bottom and then like do the butterfly grip.
Yep.
I don't know if a lot of people do that. I know Jamie Graham would like put the bag flat.
Yeah, some like to hold it flat and then pull on it or something.
Yeah, pull
some
on
settle it. Yeah.
Yeah, but me, I put my beads all the way at the bottom and then I'll put my thumb on top of the beads and then I'll release. And that's just after the church league. I think I practiced that, and that's just what I've you know, just that's just what I've done ever since.
Yeah, I would say the butterfly, most people that throw a butterfly, either you're perfectly flat or you have a little bit of a right to left tilt on it, which lends to the roll bag, the back load, the cut, all that kind of shots that come with the butterfly grip. So your bag naturally has that little right to left curve on it?
Yeah, so when I throw my butterfly grip, like you said, it's either going to be as flat as possible. Like one round, it'll be flat as possible. And then the next round, it's like, it's kicking left every single time. And I'm like, I can't stop staying off the left side. Like, what is going on? And then like the next round will be flat as possible again. But then you have those rounds where like you throw it and it's like a little wobbly coming out because your thumb catches it and it like hits in front of the board, but somehow goes in the hole.
Sure.
And you're like, like, what is going on?
Yeah. But I mean, so you've obviously found a lot of consistency with it. It's becoming a lot more common. I would say like we're either at halfway or even more than halfway of players that throw in butterfly. Now I think the older generation, like, you know, your Damon Dennis's, even down to your Frank Mala, like I would say that generation of age all throw 50-50 grip, you know, just like the normal grip because they've been doing it for 20 years. But I would say almost all the new generation butterflies.
Yeah, I mean, I would even say like Matt Guy still holds it like you was just holding it. Mm-hmm. I mean, his bag is not flat at all.
Yeah.
And it's just like he knows his own kick. And
that's how mine is, yeah. I know like the left to right kick. It's all good.
You can't block players like that. Like you don't know how his bag's gonna kick. But he knows like if you put up a blocker, he's going to straight airmail anyways, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the reason he doesn't push through because he's like, well, I don't know if it's going to kick straight through. So he's like, I'm just going to airmail.
So,
but
it's just crazy to me.
So obviously you're with NOLA Bags. You got the Rougarous. So, I mean, you live in Tennessee. So how did you get hooked up with Billy Webb and NOLA? And how did this opportunity come into place to work with NOLA?
So I didn't have anything when I first started, like a lot of people. And I was texting a buddy of mine, Chris Seaton. He was like sponsored a little bit by NOLA. And I was like, hey man, I'm getting into, any bags or, anybody wanting to sponsor anybody. And he's like, man, let me, hook you up with Billy Webb. He's from New Orleans. I was like, all right, cool. So Billy, I reached out to Billy and, Billy with the guy that he is, he sent me like 3 sets of category 3s and category 1s or something like that. And at first, man, I couldn't throw them. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the speed or what. And I just told him up front, like I couldn't throw them. And I had to stick to my Vipers. And one thing led to another, and he came up with some more bags, and I started wearing the apparel a lot, and one thing led to another, and now we're here 2 years later, and
Nice.
now I've got my own bag out, and it won a huge major, and then after the major, the Rougarous just took off, and I want to say, I think I've had the white and red ones come out. My Duke bags, I don't know if you got a set of those, but
I've seen your ones with the white and coyote looking thing on it that says Duke on it, whatever the heck that thing is.
Yeah, so I have my own. It's the Rougarou when it first got started. It's got my last name on it, and it was like 4 different colors.
Okay.
And then I sold out of those, man, within like a month, I think. And then the white and red ones come out, and those sold out. And then he got me some bubble gum and cotton candy ones.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those. Those are sweet.
Okay, so you've seen those, and those sold out. And I mean, that's just all you can ask for is a guy to, I told him one day we're going to be at the top, and I'm going to stick with him. He was my first ever sponsor, and it's going to take a lot for me to leave.
Yeah.
Billy. And
well, that's awesome.
Even then, I don't think I'll do it because, he just gives me, he's always there for me. And, he's more than a sponsor to me. He's like a good friend of mine and my family. And
well, we talk about it all the time. I feel like I bring this up in every single podcast, but again, cornhole is like growing at a massive scale in terms of the relationships that you make now are more important than the money, because 5-10 years from now, like those relationships are what's going to matter, because how many more people are going to join the fray? Well, it's like, but you weren't here at the beginning. You don't have those like that kind of connection. And, and if you're just jumping for the money, it's like, well, you're not making those connections that'll help you later on.
Yeah. So like, it took me a while to like make friends, like I was so competitive, and I just didn't like myself. Like I was losing friends, and like I talked to my wife, and I didn't like that in me. So I changed my whole life around, got baptized, and I think I've been living right ever since. And I've got friends that I lost, but I've gained back. So like that means more to me than winning, as much money as I did last year. Or
hey, but you're finding success after doing that too. So I mean, obviously your mental game's a lot maybe clearer or like more positive, and it's helped you, it seems.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like when I take time off, it's not taking time off of like what I want to do, but like it's time off with my family, and it's mental. Like I've said before, it's you've got to have time off, man. And like if you don't, your whole mindset's not right. Like you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And I don't want to live like that. Like my family's more important to me than, $60,000 or, whatever I won, but if I can continue to make friends and make $60,000 in cornhole, then I'm living, the right life.
Yeah.
And that's what I look forward to. I could share that, money with my wife or my kids, or, and go on vacation and, hopefully take Billy, and his family, and, stuff like that for me is just more important than cornhole.
No, I agree. And that's awesome. But so we see a little bit of streams of your live stream of you showing off the swamp waters and whatnot, but what is your practice routine? I mean, like, do you just go out and throw a bunch of bags? Do you like to set up scenarios? Do you just like getting deck rounds in? Like what do you think is your best practice routine? And how do you think that helps improve for players that are maybe looking for something to do?
Yeah. So for me, practice, man, I can only play outside here at my house. So like, I don't have the privilege of playing inside like I want to, but for me, deck rounds is good for like consistency. And like, you want to throw, like if you could throw 100, like every time, you could compete at any level. Like what's the max for a 10 round? Like 120? Yeah. So I've thrown like a one 108 or 109 before or something like that. And like my average right now in deck rounds is 100.1. So like, but I didn't get the one the other day. Of course, I wasn't gonna put that on my thing.
Yeah.
So, but that's, I think deck rounds are like, because like you want to be consistent, right? You want to go hole for hole with a lot of people. But my game is you want to block too. So after the deck rounds, I would do like blocks and then like wraparounds or like a bully bag. And then like, I'll try some and ones and twos. You don't ever know when you're going to need those. So for me, the deck rounds is like the number one thing I do. And then two is just try stuff like in-game situations. Like I'll take 4 bags on this side, but I'll only throw one, and then I'll go over here and throw one. And then like I'll try to throw a blocker on this side and then airmail on this side. Sure. I'm getting 2 and 1 at the same time. So I try to do like in-game situations, and like I'll keep score for myself.
That's what Windsor does. Windsor said he just plays himself.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's just what I do. But to tell you the truth, man, I don't practice.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like, that's what Cheyenne Renner says too. She's like, I just go to blind draws.
Yeah, so it was blind draws for me, and a lot of people did not believe me when I told them I did not practice. And I'm like, man, I don't really just find time to practice. Like, I don't want to get my boards out and just throw. So, I have my own board sponsor. Shout out to BKC, Jason Lyons. But he made me my first set of boards this year, so that I've ever owned. So
that's funny.
I'll bring those out every once in a while, and but blind draws mainly for me, man. And I've taken time off of blind draws through the week, and I'll go to where like I first started, like the BFW in Hernando, Mississippi. And that's where I first started. That's where I used to get my head thumped by Josh and Phil and, just a couple players down there. And that's where I got good, man. And, I try to give back as much as I can. And I try to go to where I started the most. And the BFW is what has made me who I am today. So
if you had to give one piece of advice to maybe a mid-advanced player, high-advanced player, someone that wants to go pro and maybe like isn't able to cross that echelon, like what do you think? What have you seen the difference between the pros that you play and like a good advanced player? Like what's holding a lot of them back?
I would say the crazy shots. You cannot. So like, you can't try the stuff that you want to try. Like somebody would try a roll bag every blocker, like there's only a certain amount of people who can do a roll bag every time. And your bags, you're not going to release it right or something, and you're going to go off the board. So you're almost going to give up 3 almost every time, right? So for me to tell somebody like the difference between a pro and then like advanced, like a lower advanced, is consistency, man. And I'm going to live by that because, yeah, you can go hoe for hoe with a lot of people, but there's going to be those times where they mess up. And if you can't, like, put it in the hole when they mess up, then you're not going to score anyways, right? So my thing is consistency, and that's what's got me to where I am now is, I'm throwing – sometimes I'll throw – like 2 weekends ago, I threw a 10.5 PPR, and I threw like 130 bags in a game, and I won 21-15. And the other guy threw like a 10.25, and all we did, I didn't throw one blocker. So like I was just going hoe for hoe with the guy, and I got lucky enough to come out on top. He, like, when I missed, he would miss.
See, is that even fun?
It's really not.
I was gonna say for like
it's really not,
rounds.
and that's not the game I play, and everybody knows that. Like, I might do it for a couple rounds, but usually I'm landing a blocker and then I'm going straight airmail.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the game I play now. Is like since I throw carpet and I don't throw my Vipers no more is, I'll block and I'll go straight airmail or try to, if he misses his block behind me, I'll go to my row shot and, hopefully I get lucky and
or push.
Or push through or, something. But yeah, hoe for hoe is just.
Well, that's what I thought. Because like yesterday, so like winning the ACL event, yes, it's tier 2, it's competitive. Anybody can see whatever they want.
It don't matter. It's a win.
Yeah. So my PPR, if you look at it, I was only like 8th in the event in PPR, but my DPR was 1st in the event, right? Because it was like every round I just went block triple airmail or like block push double airmail. Because I was like, I would rather. If I'm playing against a game changer guy, I'm not going to go hole for hole. Like that's literally all he knows how to do. I'm like, that's a waste of time.
That's what so for me, I don't really look at my PPR because I know it's at times it's going to be low, right? Because I block and airmail. But like the thing you said, like the point differential, I think, right? Yeah. Mine was a negative 2.03 in that tournament. So like, and I threw like a 9.53. But I'm scoring 2 points almost every round. So
you mean you were a positive 2.43? You were scoring 2 points around.
Yeah. So not negative. I'm sorry. It was like 2.03.
Yeah.
And like I got it saved on my phone. I'm like, look at the point differential compared to what I'm throwing PPR wise.
Yeah.
Like these people could throw like these people could throw like 11 through the whole tournament, and they don't win. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but you know what I'm saying? Like you can throw
that is true. Matt threw over an 11 in that open that he lost to Cheyenne Renner in the finals because like she started throwing blocks and he missed a couple airmails. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Like you can have those high PPRs, but like when you're negative in like the point differential, you're not going to win anyways.
Yeah.
So
I tell people that all the time. Like in my vlogs, I'll be doing a thing afterwards that I'm like, oh, I only shot an 8 PPR this game, but my partner shot a 7. And I'm like, it doesn't matter if you shoot an 11 PPR if you lose. It really doesn't matter. like it's just and Anthony Ione said this too, where it's just like PPR is a cool number to like look at, but I think too many players that aren't good, like pros, focus on the number. And then if you talk to any pro, they're like, I mean, some pros are like, cool, I shot a 10.5 this game, but any pro's like, I'd rather win. I don't give a shit if I shoot an 8 or a 10. I'd rather win.
Yeah, like some people here, like where I play a lot, they're like, man, I threw like a 10.5 that game. And I'm like, what, did you win? And they're like, no, he beat me. I'm like, what's it matter? Like right. You lost. So
it makes a good Facebook post. I shot a 10.5 and lost. Screw this game. This is unfair.
Like I can understand if you make like a post and like you shot like 11.6 like Matt guy and then lose to a guy that shot like a 11.9 or something.
Right. You missed like, 3 bags in a game. They missed 1. Like,
like the conference, he beat Damon Dennis. Like Matt threw like 11 point.
Yeah, Damon shot like a 10-8 and lost like 21-4 or something.
Yeah, like I'd be proud of that. Yeah, right. Like I'd take that loss.
Yeah. I know. I think so. I remember seeing that post because someone commented and said Damon Dennis' stats are nuts and he lost 21-4.
Like Trey Birchfield played Matt Guy in where was that? Cincinnati, the first one of the opens, and he threw like 11.2 and lost.
Yeah,
like 21 to like 11 or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a. I mean, it's a simple game. I was talking to Jimmy Humans on the podcast, and I talked to him this weekend a bunch and stuff too. And he's on the components of the game is chess, not checkers. He's like if you can make and I live by the motto that if you can make your opponent's shots harder than your shots, then you'll win.
Yeah, I live by it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
So like if you're throwing high PPRs, it's a marathon, right? So. Right. If you're going to play Matt and you do not shoot well, it's going to be a race. Or like a sprint.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. Yeah.
I like all that. And so like this season, I guess, so 2022. So right now, obviously you've done a couple ACO majors. You got one left on the docket. There's ACO Worlds. There's ACL Worlds. There's a couple more opens. What does the rest of the season look like for you? You're taking a little break now. When you get back in the fold, is it going to be a pretty powerhouse couple months? Or like, what have you been looking at for, what does the rest of the year look like?
Yeah. So like, that's the $1 million question, right? So like people ask me all the time, like, what am I doing next year? So like, I won't answer that. And, but like the the rest of the season for me is I'll go to Vegas in a couple weeks with Josh All Day Glover, and we'll compete in ACO. And like I said, if I do good there, my ACO is done for the year. I won't catch any more opens or any more regionals, and I'll just show up to Worlds and try to win King of Cornhole, and I'll go to my conferences and state tournament, and I'll try to catch them more, local points like blind draws and stuff here at home, and I'll try to catch one more regional. I think tops me out. I think you can only get 1,000 points in regionals, and I'm at like 982 or something. So I'll try to top out there, and we'll see what happens next year. I don't know what I'm gonna do, and I know what I'm gonna do, but
you don't want to jinx it yet.
Yeah, I don't want to jinx it. So I can only hope for the best, and we'll go from there. Yeah. And
well, do you want to shout out any sponsors?
Yeah, man, I'll shout out to Billy. NOLA Bags. He makes some of the best, some of the best, in my eyes, the best bags like in the game. Everybody has their own opinion, but shout out to Billy. His turnarounds is awesome. Custom bags or whatever. Shout out to him. BKC Boards, Jason Lines. He makes custom boards. They're tournament ready, no bounce. He can put anything on the board. His work is amazing. And shout out to Triple Crown. Those are my guys, dude. I was their first ever sponsored player, and I'm very grateful for those guys. Mark, JR, and Brian. They contacted me on my way home from Triple Crown, my very first Triple Crown event, and they gave me the okay to be a sponsored player by them, and I'm very grateful for them. I'm very grateful for all my sponsors. I wouldn't be where I am today, being so successful, and my number one sponsor is my wife.
Gotta give her a shout out, man.
Yeah, she does all my live feeds, and everybody loves her. And if it wasn't for her, man, I wouldn't be able to play it all anyway. So shout out to her, and shout out to you for giving me the chance to be on the broadcast. And I look forward to being back out there, and after I get my mind right and take a little break, and we'll see where I end up at the end of the year.
Oh, yeah, man. Well, we all look forward to, meeting you in person and hanging out with you and stuff. I know maybe not a lot of people know your name, but I think you're definitely coming. I think we'll be seeing you soon, so look forward to seeing you have success in the future. I definitely think that you're getting your mind in the right spot, and like you're starting to have a lot of really good results, and that's only going to lead to more and more things coming in the future. So, well, really appreciate you coming by to stop by. I think it's cool talking to somebody that is on the ACO front, really like trying to grind out the ACL front, as well as growing as a player and just like traversing the world of cornhole as it is in the current day to day. Shout out to NOLA Bags. I really wanted to get you on the podcast to make sure I got Billy some time in the limelight too, because he really deserves the the recognition for all the cool stuff that he's doing with NOLA. But it was really fun having you on the podcast. Good luck in the ACO Major in Vegas, as well as Worlds for both ACL and ACO. Hopefully you don't have to do the gauntlet, but if you do, you're definitely going 6-0, easy peasy.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, man, I appreciate it, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, everybody listening, hope you guys enjoy the episode. Hope you have a great rest of your day and rest of your week, and I'll catch you guys in next week's episode. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.